Hi, good afternoon all. My name is Om Puran and I'll be a host for today. The COVID-19 outbreak is causing worldwide concerns and economic hardships for consumers, businesses, and communities across the globe. Now, these are genuinely challenging spells for companies and employees in every market. As your technology partner, we want to play our part in helping your business stay agile and productive in the months and years ahead. In this regard, we present to you the Discover Digital webinar series. Now, this one is hosted by a team of industry experts from Salsa Sami, a Yes Technology company, and we bring to you this episode of Discover Digital webinar series along with our alliance partner AWS. Our topic for today is accelerate your digital journey and enable business resilience with SAP S4HANA and AWS. Let me start with a quick introduction of Yes Technologies. Yes Technology is a global technology consulting provider that is committed to helping customers align technology innovations with business strategy. It has been serving some of the prestigious firms across US, UK, Middle East, and rest of the world. Salsa Semi is a division of Yes Technologies in the Middle East and Africa, and it is headquartered in Dubai and has been serving marquee customers across the region. You all know what AWS is all about. AWS is the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform, offering over 175 fully featured services from data centers globally. It serves millions of customers that include fastest growing startups, largest enterprises, and leading government agencies. Let's have a quick look at the speakers for today. We have Mr. Nagis Bejawara, who is AVP and service line leader at Yes Technologies. Now, Nagis is a seasoned technology leader and has more than 2 decades of experience, and he leads SAP delivery, capability development, solution center, and operations at a global level. He has successfully led and integrated several large projects with regard to the SAP deployment. Next, we have Mr. Anand Uvalekar from AWS. Anand is an enterprise account manager at AWS MENA. He evangelizes business practices to adopt AWS cloud across enterprise customers within the travel, logistics, and the transportation industry verticals. And he works with enterprise leaders to build cases for business transformation initiatives which are driven and executed leveraging the AWS cloud. Now, before I hand over the mic to our speaker, let me highlight a few points for today's webinar. Today's webinar would be available on demand after the live session. And we are at a pandemic situation, and guess most of us are connected from home. There might be some internet issues in attending, in accessing this webinar, so you don't have to worry about it. You can reconnect with the same link which you might have used right now. After we are recording this webinar, and the recording would be available to everyone once the live session is over. We will be sharing it in a day or two. And we are also taking your questions and input. If you have any questions for our speaker, please feel free to send it through the Ask a Question tab at the bottom of your player, and we'll be answering the question after the sessions with our speakers are over. So without any further ado, I would like to kick things off by welcoming Nagis. Nagis, welcome to this webinar, and over to you.
Thanks, Om Puran, and good afternoon, everyone. And thanks for joining us today for this session. So today the session is in 2 parts. First, I'm going to cover about SAP S4HANA, the product, and the features at a very high level, and the packages that we have at Yash, and also about the conversion. What are the, in case I do assume that a lot of you would already be using SAP, and some of you are possibly not using SAP as an ERP today, but are contemplating for buying a nice ERP. So this webinar tries to address both the kind of scenarios, and some part of it I'm going to focus on customers who are looking at conversions, basically who are already running some on-premise ECC systems and would like to go to S4, and simultaneously would like to do a move to cloud as well. Where they're trying to do a both lift and shift to cloud along with the migration, rather than just mere lift and shift. Can they do an OS and DB migration along with the same thing with the so all those things, questions, I'm going to touch base on those points as well today. So as we say today, so your first step today, all the companies are talking about having intelligent systems and having digital transformations, etc. So how can SAP be your your first step? Basically, your S4HANA with being a futuristic ERP, and not only just an ERP anymore. It is actually an analytics system and an intelligent system with a lot of insights. We'll see how it is. So this thing is about how can you accelerate your first step towards being digital. So know more about S4HANA. So why S4HANA and why you should move now and what are the packages? So why you should move or why you should adopt S4HANA? If you're any company looking for an ERP, S4HANA is the right one. Why it is? First of all, this is a foundation for your intelligent enterprise, like some of the words that I've used. So how can you be responsive to the market demands? Okay, how can you ensure that who are my top 10 outstanding ARs, and how do I approach them, and how many times I've touch base them? So today you do get a lot of insights from your systems, but either it's person dependent. You need to rely on some of your other colleagues or subordinates to get the information, or you may have to wait a day or two to get the information churned out. But imagine a system which, apart from your day-to-day supporting your system of records and your transactions and everything, but it can also be an OLAP system and also give you operational analytics, which will help you make instantaneous decisions. How? Because it has a powered analytics, inbuilt analytics, powered with more than 10,000 KPIs and standard content available for most of your why, what, how, all questions are answered with that kind of KPIs that you have. So the analytics are inbuilt on the same platform, so you don't have to wait for an overnight a push of data from your OLTP system to an OLAP system. So the S4HANA is a digital core. It's your foundation for being an intelligent enterprise, and it has got more simplified processes, because be it your order to cash or procure to pay and plan to produce, all these industry standard processes are very well laid out. And as it is, SAP itself has been a system that has been there for decades together and has inculcated a lot of best practices into it. Now those best practices become much more simplified. So across a lot of LOBs, like even your financial processes have become simplified. Okay, why? Because you have simpler data structures. Okay, so you no longer need a lot of reconciliations or validations across the submodules or modules, say for example between AP and GL, or AR and GL, or GL and asset. So or even your management accounting and financial accounting, your SFICO and CO, so to say, modules. So these are simplified, thereby bringing down your time across a lot of financial process, like your month-end closing is simplified. You no longer have to do reconciliations across most processes or most data. You do not have to do. Then it's a platform for the innovation also, like I already said. SAP beyond ERP, you can actually leverage a lot of other things that are inbuilt into the platform, like they have predictive analytics, and you have machine learning apps and in content pre-built into it, which you can leverage, or you can build your own custom models. It also has an IRPA tool within that, and you can also do conversational UI and build some nice bots, for some use cases, like somebody asking, having either on the Android platform, or use your own SAP's proprietary conversational UI framework and build your own bots. So and of course, people might have been conversant with the GUI today that they've seen, but what is more important is the new user experience that comes with Fiori applications, which are like apps which run on any device, anywhere, anytime. You can access that. Especially in a situation like this, no matter where you are, you'll be able to still access your SAP applications on the move, or being at your home. You can still access that and take your actions and decisions on the system. So Fiori is a completely UI5 based, so to say, simple HTML, JavaScript based applications, which are easy to use for people. It's a kind of a positive change management for them, so to say, in a sense. A lot of things are intuitive with color, with right color combinations and right graphics and informations available. It should be as simple as someone accessing a Facebook. So Fiori is more or less, SAP's target is to eventually take SAP applications to such a stage where anybody can use it with very, very minimal, training and or no training at all. So faster time to value. All this is good, but one of the days where people wait for a year or a year and a half for an ERP to be in place. So today, with the kind of platforms that we have today, so I think when you eventually early days when you have to start your ERP journey, you have to place an order. Starts from the hardware. Even that itself used to take about say month and a half or sometimes even 2 months to get a hardware and then establish and everything. Today, platforms like AWS, you have the infrastructure readily available, deployed in a matter of minutes once everything is in place, and very quickly you can get started, maybe in a matter of days, if not hours, but definitely in a matter of days you can get started. And once, as and when you need any systems, you can spin off rather than buying your entire dev, quality and all landscape at once. You can keep incrementally using that. All about that, I think speaker subsequently is going to talk about it. So faster time to value, right from your hardware procurement all the way to deploying the application and making it usable in a short time frame. So S4HANA comes with all those methodologies as well, like Activate, which we like partners are conversant and we'll be able to take you there. So these are some of the features, why somebody should go. Of course, I didn't go into deep in what are the other features for want of time, but definitely I think, subsequent to this, when we have more interactions, we can possibly have a demonstration of the product capabilities. Maybe we can, based on the interest of the participants, we can do such sessions for some of our prospects, who get in touch with us, where we can showcase both the power of the AWS, actually S4HANA running on an AWS platform. So we have our internal demo systems also running on that. So this is what it is like, simplified process in the areas of finance or in the areas of planning like MRP, or in the areas of inventory, and a whole lot of analytics and insight driven applications. So now this is what an example of it, where you have a red, green, yellow kind of insights. So I know what are the ones that I need to quickly action upon. Okay, my fulfillment, for example, it shows it's in red. Why am I not able to fulfill these orders? So right from there, I see the metric and can dig in and look at the problem. My liquidity is all right. I don't have to do anything about it. So all these insights for every area, be it procurement or be it order to cash, every area, there are overview pages right now available. So I get a bird's eye view of everything and I can focus on the areas that I'm interested in. Say, for example, you have a sales overview, tells you what are all my quotations, what are going to expire in the next few weeks, okay, next 5 days, next day, within the next week or within the next 14 days. So you have all such kind of nice gadgets which actually show you the right information. So this is how your SAP actually looks like, rather than the traditional GUI. For the people who have been used to the SAP ECC, this is the change that S4HANA is bringing. Yeah, and simplified decision making, definitely, where instead of referring to multiple transactions and then referring to some of your Excels and making a decision, imagine that one app or one screen has all the information that you need to say and say, okay, I have a shortfall, fine, where do I source it from? Should I make it in, or should I do a stock transfer, or should I get from this vendor or this vendor, or where should I order? Even if it's expensive, what is the, based on what is the shortest time I'm able to get the material so that I can fulfill my orders or fulfill my production. So imagine getting all that insights on one page, so it makes your decision making, all that more easy. So, and then I also touched upon this earlier, you have today your OLTP systems, and you have maybe a BI system. It could be an SAP BW, or you might be using a whole lot of other systems. And but imagine that all of that is built into one system itself, so that you're no longer reliant on data transfer, or and imagine having it on the same moment, rather than waiting for the next day to take a boardroom decision or office room decision. Rather than live on the app, I know what it is, what is my stock position, should I which customer should I service, do I have, so all those kind of decisions I can make on the fly. So now we have seen the product. Yes, how do I prepare the road for an S4HANA? There are several things. I think most of you might be in some point, either you are thinking, should we do S4HANA, what it is, maybe what it entails. So some of those questions at least can be answered by some of these tools provided by SAP. Say like maintenance planner and PAM, product applicability matrix tells you a lot. It's a publicly available content, and it's like a web content that is available. So where it tells you based on your current system that you have, this is applicable for the customers already on SAP ECC and trying to move to S4HANA. So what is the version that I am, and what are the challenges in it? Do I need an OS upgrade? Is an OS upgrade mandated before I go to S4? Say I'm on Windows 2008. So is it mandated that I need to go to Windows 2012 prior to going to S4? Or I'm on a certain patch level, should I actually upgrade my patch level and then only I can do S4? So, or maintenance planner, which tells you, your add-ons that you may have installed, SAP add-ons or third-party add-ons that you would have put on, are they compatible with S4 or any? So all that information, or is it a stumbling block? You cannot go any further with S4 right now because of the add-on, because SAP does not have a solution as on today for that. Or a business scenario recommendation report, you can actually get it out based on the usage. You can take an ST01 and trace, and or some of your bases or your internal team will be able to help you with that. You take the trace data for the last 1 or 2 months, and there is a website, you go in and you upload that, and within a 5 working days, after 5 working days, SAP comes back to you with a report which tells, based on the usage of the system, what are the areas that are going to get simplified for you, what are the areas where you're going to leverage benefit, which processes, which transactions are going to be impacted, and where you're going to, what apps are recommended for you, etc. And readiness check takes it a further level further, wherein it also tells you, that also depends on your system. Basically, you need to deploy a couple of nodes on your system, which will copy to as programs essentially, and which generates a lot of information for us, like what could be the size based on your current data size. It tells you what should be the HANA size or the VM size, that you need to, the RAM size and everything, the right sizing of hardware, or the infrastructure that you need, and then what is your impacted or the simplified processes. Okay, what are those that are going to get impacted, and where you got to change, or some of those things that are relevant for you, that are going to add value to you. So all those processes would be listed, and the appropriate note against it, what note to be referred. So that will be given there, and it also tells you about the custom code. What is the custom code impact that you have. It also tells you what would be the recommended Fiori apps for you, and also it churns out all your data. It gives up business process analytics and tells you what are those potential candidates that you can actually archive. Maybe if there is an archival recommendation, if you're looking for, that's something that you could look at. So these, if BSR is like an X-ray for you, and readiness check would be like an MRI scan for you, which scans a complete system. So to do all this, of course, if you need a right guidance, and you need help in preparing a business case, or you want to see how the roadmap is going to extend for you, you need a right partner and a right platform. Partners like Yash and AWS can really help you. Sometimes people, if there's a complexities available, you may want to try out a proof of concept. So there are things available wherein you can go to AWS, rather than investing on a HANA hardware. You can actually say, okay, for 4 months or a 3-month period, I want to get a HANA VM on AWS, and maybe I'll give my production data, and so we can do a conversion as a sandbox, and show you so where you want to experience the challenges that you may actually face in your journey of S4. So proof of concept can be done where you can provide your production dump or a quality system dump, which is a recent production copy, and that can be done. So you need a right partner like Yash or Solstice and and AWS. There are a whole lot of other things like Transformation Navigator, which is touch more. It also goes about whatever simplifications, it tries to add a value to it and say, okay, you might be having these amount of savings. Fiori Apps Library is something which is applicable for all kinds of, even people who are looking to buy a new ERP, or even people who are looking to convert. So Fiori Apps Library is where it showcases some of the apps that I spoke about. It shows the screenshots, what that app does for you, or what are the features available. So that is something I think even as a new person who's looking to buy an ERP, you can go the data content is organized in a LOB fashion. If you're looking for some finance, or production, you can go by that and see what kind of features and apps are available, what those app does. So that will be a good exercise for you that you can do, yourself. So these are all the preparatory activities for your S/4HANA conversion initiative, or even if you're going for S/4HANA shopping as a fresh ERP, you can consider Theory Apps Library and a whole lot of other documentation that's available. For anything, of course, we are there. If someone needs if you're looking for an ERP shopping, if you reach out to us, post this as a prospect to us. If you reach out to us, we can also showcase a demo of an S/4HANA product, how it looks like, what are some of the features, or something like that. Or you can talk to us further in understanding each of these, like readiness check. You can engage with us, share some data with us. We'll be able to help and guide you in these areas. Okay, in recommending the right platform, or what should be the approach. Should we just do a readiness check, or should we actually really go for a POC? These are the kind of guidance we can give, right? So like I was talking about, you need a right platform experience. So with that, of course, SAP S/4HANA is a very, very proven product, definitely, and we have proven ourselves in helping our customers, either implement S/4HANA or convert S/4HANA, and we have a solid platform, S/4HANA running on an AWS HANA VM. It has its own advantages and benefits, because not only just S/4HANA, AWS being an infrastructure provider for just S/4HANA, AWS comes with own other services. Like Om was mentioning, there are about 175 other types of services. In fact, you start with S/4HANA. Tomorrow you want to do some big data or a machine learning or some other thing. Even there you can engage in and maybe work on some small proof of concepts, or an IoT that you would like to do. So all those things are available on AWS, I think, which Anand is going to speak later and tell you more about those things. So it's beyond. So your first step is done to S/4HANA. Then you can keep progressing slowly, one by one, on your digital journey with S/4HANA, AWS, and Solstice. All of us coming together, we can help you do that. So why you should move now? Definitely, I think there is a compelling thing. Of course, SAP, you all might be, it's in public domain now, that SAP has told beyond 2025 you can go to 2027. You can still wait until 2027. But one small catch is there. Yes, your ERP applications are still supported. This is applicable for people who are already running SAP ECC. So it will be supported, but there are some compatibility packs or some add-ons that you would have been using along with SAP ECC. For such customers, compatibility packs end at 2025. So practically, but keeping all that aside, in this post-COVID, the number of opportunities everyone is going to have limited, and within those limited opportunities, we need to maximize and cover and leverage the opportunities and fulfill those opportunities. Be it, and you shouldn't be stuck with supply chain shortages or excess stock which you're not able to liquidate, or you're not able to realize your collections on time, and you're spending a lot more time. So this is a time worthwhile for you to invest. Don't think as a spend, but invest in getting the right systems now and do an early leverage of value, so that in this times, desperate times no longer need desperate measures. Actually, desperate times now need disruptive measures, disruptive systems, and disruptive thought processes, which will actually help you in getting, making you intelligent and enterprise. So that's where S/4HANA comes in. With those insights, you can quickly respond to a business opportunity that you have. The limited business opportunities, you'll still be able to respond faster and respond better than most of your competition by using such an insight-driven or an intelligent system. I'm not going to stretch this part too much, because for want of time, I'm going to quickly breeze through the remaining parts. See, of course, this is package solutions that we have, qualified package solutions with a fixed scope, cost, and time. These are for fresh implementations. Any customers there looking out for implementing S/4HANA, for the buying S/4HANA. So we have pre-packaged solutions based on your industry. If you're a small and medium business company looking there to quickly get started with a fixed scope, adopting standards. So these are the ones: Chem 1, CPG 1, Pharma 1, Manufacturing 1, Wholesale 1. Of course, there are a few more. These are qualified in various regions like US and Middle East. Also, we have Chem 1 qualified. So for more details, definitely you can reach out to us, and we can also give a demonstration of these solutions to you, right? Then the most important one, next one, this is more applicable for the customers or prospects there in the call right now who are looking for, say, conversion from their existing ECC system to S/4HANA. So this is a Yash for HANA, as we call it. So it's a qualified package solution in, of course, this is not yet qualified in all regions, but it's qualified in UK, Ireland, and Northern Europe regions. But yes, it's shortly be qualified even in the MENA region. We'll be deploying along with this package. We're also going to deploy 60 Fiori apps for you, and you have a convenience of choosing the baseline package. Of course, baseline package comes with the fixed scope, saying the number of instances, like, for example, sandbox, dev, quality, and production. Only 4 instances we cover, or the number of company codes. There are certain things which I'm going to talk in the next slide. So those are the baseline packages, and add-on options to your specific needs. For example, you're on a non-Unicode system today on a database, and you have to mandatorily convert to Unicode before going to S/4HANA or a HANA database. So there is an Unicode conversion that is imminent for you. So those things are all add-on options. They're not part of the package, but we assess your system and can tell you what could be the price. The base price could be an indicative one for you, and you know how much more it is going to cost. And there is a minimal but effective user training. User training is only required for the areas that are impacted, like business partner, the CVI, the customer vendor, change to business partner, or some asset accounting, minute changes, or house banks, or how they're created. Very, very minimal changes. Whatever is required will be done. And adopting Fiori apps is mostly all the analytical apps and smart business apps is more of a positive change management, like I mentioned earlier, because it's more easy for you to use apps which are reminiscent of Facebook, etc. And then faster time to value, we can get this up and done in about 12 weeks, with followed by 4 weeks go live, considering, of course, the number of instances and the number of companies and all that. This is for the base package. So we have more than 250 plus skilled conversion expert, and we have done a lot more projects. Okay, so we do BSR and readiness check reports for you, and those two things are complementary. I think even some of you approach us, we actually do it as a complementary basis for you. Even if you're not signing the full deal, we are there to educate our customers. And for the prospects who reach out to us, we're going to do this free for the next 3 months. And of course, for one ECC landscape with dev, quality, and production, and sandbox. And we'll not be doing document split. If you're on classic GL today, it will be converted to new GL, but document split will not be done. That will be an additional project. So up to 10 company codes, 1,000 objects, all these are covered in the scope. So like some of the things I mentioned, if you're already using deferred revenue, for example, then it requires first for you to migrate to SAP RAR. So that's another project you'll have to take up. Okay. So as part of our assessment, if you find that you're using deferred revenue, then first you need to do that. So it's not covered in the package. So if you're on non-Unicode, I've already mentioned that, right? So all the existing source database and operating versions, they should support doing S4 directly. But if in between there is a need for you to do an OS upgrade or a DB upgrade, say for example from Oracle 11 to Oracle 12, it is mandated, or if it is say from Microsoft SQL Server 2008 to 2012, all these things are additionals, right? So this is what it is, the scope. Of course, the price is not here, but when you reach out to us, definitely we can share all the price details and everything. But it's a 4-month duration, and we also do a Solman new implementation. If you have an existing Solman and you want to upgrade, that's not part of the scope. So these are all the budget heads you need to cover. I think maybe I'm going to just take another 2 to 3 more minutes to wind up quickly. So software license costs. So if you're already on ECC, of course, if you're buying new, you would definitely need to buy the SAP S/4HANA licenses fresh. But you're already using SAP ECC, you need to do a conversion to S/4HANA. So there's a conversion fee, which typically SAP comes up with a formula. It works out the new bill of material as per S/4HANA, and then give you a discount for the licenses you're surrendering, so that you can reach out to us and we can help you along with SAP. Then hardware, the infrastructure costs. This is where an OPEX makes that much more sense for you. Rather than investing today, you'll not be able to invest in and do a capex investments anymore. So AWS would be a good move for you to do, maybe a 3-year or a 5-year, where you get even outstanding best deals that you would get when you do a 3-year commitments and all that. So I think Anand is going to talk about it. So you need to factor those hardware costs and your S/4HANA conversion service cost that you got to pay to partner like us, and of course all your infrastructure upgrades internally and your business time and others. So success stories, there are customers, once I already spoke about faster financial closes, so up to 40% or even more some customers have realized. So people have a better ability to track their ARs and get outstanding ARs and follow up with their customers and get that, or your MRP is that much more optimized, and you would have better insights on planning. So even IT has got a significant values in terms of the effort they pay towards backups and all that. Okay. So these are some of our clientele, and in the region, I think in the Middle East we have Amico. The go live is actually happening for S4. It's already initiated now. Actual downtime phase is going to come. Some of the pre-production activities have already been initiated. Downtime is actually in the next weekend, and PRS Ventures is an implementation of S4 that we have done, and Blue Star is a conversion. Of course, that's a customer from India. So a whole lot of customers. This is a limited set of clientele that we have. There are more customers than this, and this is something where we are doing an S4 conversion. This is an AWS customer wherein we already first helped the customer do a lift and shift from their on-prem ECC and BW and a whole lot of landscape. We did a lift and shift to AWS along with an OS upgrade. They were on 2008 Windows and SQL 2008. As part of the lift and shift itself, we had moved them to a target 2012 environment. So we saved one downtime and one phase there. Okay, so that's an advantage you have with AWS migration. So today we are also doing the final phase of the project S/4HANA, where we'll be actual go live is the next weekend. So this is one case study for an AWS and Yash Solstice and S/4HANA combination. Yeah. So why Yash? I think already I'll not take much time. So we are a global company. I think Om already covered it. So we have a very huge SAP practice. With everything you talk on SAP, you can reach out to us. We can elaborate, and we have a strong center of excellence on S/4HANA, which can educate you and also help you with your roadmap to SAP. So, and thank you here, and Anand, sorry for taking 3 minutes of your time extra. So, Om, you can take over and hand it over to Anand. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, no problem. Thank you, Nagesh. Thank you for that enriching perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Anand.
Panel team, you would make me the presenter. Are you able to see the slides, panel team?
Yes, Anand, we are able to see.
Yes. Please go ahead.
Are you able to see the slides or the presenter notes? Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Make it full screen.
Is it better now?
It's perfect. Please go ahead.
All right. Thank you for that. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Anand Uvlekar, and I am an enterprise account manager with Amazon Web Services, based out of the Middle East and North Africa office. I'll quickly take you over the next 10-15 minutes through the why, what, and how customers are rethinking and reimagining their SAP environments with AWS. So a little bit of a background before I actually jump into the topic. So we've been working with SAP for over 11 years now. We've been serving SAP customers as well as SAP themselves are a customer of AWS since they started, and they started by offering demo environments to showcase their applications. And over the past several years, we've worked together to build and deliver purpose-built infrastructure for SAP, especially SAP HANA. So around 2012, 2013 is the time when SAP rolled out their in-memory database engine HANA, and we've been the first hyperscale platform provider to support HANA workloads, and have been collaborating with SAP on many such workloads, also on a lot of SaaS offerings, for example, Concur. And you can see from the curve that it's been like a continuous process, and we've been continuously iterating and innovating to offer more feature functionality along with SAP for our customers. And this is just a snapshot of some of our customers who are using SAP on AWS. So we have more than 5,000 active AWS customers who run SAP on AWS, and over half of these have deployed SAP HANA-based solutions. And the references are across different industry verticals. We have customers in oil and gas, for example, customers like GE Oil and Gas, BP, NL, for example. BP has deployed their lubricants ERP system on AWS, and they have seen a 40% increase in the application performance. There are customers in consumer goods like Kellogg's, media customers like News Corp, pharmaceutical companies like Bristol Myers Squibb, a lot of manufacturing companies. In fact, one of the manufacturing companies, Whiskcase, has anticipated a 50% cost saving using AWS for their disaster recovery setup. And moving on to a slightly focused set of customers from a Middle East and North Africa perspective. Now, these are all across, not specific to SAP, but you can see that the customers are from every imaginable industry vertical, right from enterprise to mid-market to startup technology and internet scale companies as well. And what the way we offer our services to customers is our platform is global in nature. We have a global coverage, and the way we offer our services to customers is via regions across the globe. So today we have 24 launch regions with 76 availability zones, and I'll just come to what a region is, what an availability zone is, but I specifically want to dive into the AWS Middle East Bahrain region. As you can see from the chart, there are these blue color dots, which are regions which are up and running, already available to any customer of ours. And then there are these red dots, which are the upcoming regions. Now, what exactly is a region and availability zone? And I want to spend some time on this because we do it really differently based on some of the other providers. And there are a lot of details here that you must consider. So a region is the physical location around the world where we have our cluster of data centers. And each region consists of multiple isolated and physically separate availability zones. And you can see from the diagram the relationship between a region and the availability zone. A region has multiple availability zones. And an availability zone is one or more discrete data center with redundant power, networking, and connectivity in an AWS region. These are connected with high bandwidth, low latency links. And from a customer standpoint, you would be able to deploy applications across multiple availability zones to take the advantage of high availability. And at the same time, you can have a disaster recovery setup in one of the other regions. So at the overall level, it is kind of giving you high availability and also making sure that there's a disaster recovery setup in case something goes wrong at the primary site. And as Om highlighted, yeah.
I'm sorry for interruption between. Maybe you can right click on the arrow of the GoToWebinar. His screen is getting locked. Now it is okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Sorry for that. All right. So as Om mentioned about AWS, a growing set of services. So today we have over 175 plus services, and the core of the services are the ones that are leveraged by SAP, but SAP applications. But a lot of customers leverage services on top of it to build analytics pipelines or machine learning pipelines over and above the core SAP application landscape. And Nagesh briefly touched upon a lot of drivers from a business perspective when it comes to deploying SAP and also specifically on the cloud. And as customers, you would have multiple compelling events or points to consider, be it with respect to cost reduction or be it with respect to refreshing hardware, or it could be data center consolidation. But what we've been hearing from multiple businesses is that customers today are aware about the efficiency and the cost savings that they see on AWS, and customers are typically seeing 25 to 50% cost savings on deploying SAP on AWS when it comes to on-premises setup. But they want to move faster and they want to transform their business. They want to deliver digital products and make sure that they modernize their business. They want to deliver a seamless and even a greater personalized experience to customers, and whatever are the cost saving that they see from deployment of SAP on AWS, they want to reinvest that cost into innovation and to get different business models for their customers. So let me quickly jump into why customers consider AWS as the platform of choice when it comes to SAP. The first and foremost is the AWS Nitro platform, which allows us to leverage bare metal machines in a cloud native way. It's fully integrated into AWS, and it allows us to serve workloads that are 5 times the size of workloads that any other typical hyperscale provider would provide today. We've been working with SAP for over 11 years, and all SAP solutions are certified to run on the AWS platform, be it any application, be it any database, even a database like Oracle DB2 or SQL Server that supports the SAP application is certified to run on AWS. From an app standpoint, it can be anything from BW to ERP to Suite on HANA to S4 HANA, all of it basically providing more choice to our customers. And we have a growing set of partners, almost 250 plus partners, who are working with customers on a day in and day out basis. Celsius and Yes Technologies are one of our key partners in the region who've been really helping us push the envelope from an SAP workload adoption perspective. And we have very stringent criteria to award SAP competency. We actually directly go and audit the partner by engaging with customers and taking their feedback. And our SAP competency partners are really the partners who have a lot of capability to deliver, operate, and manage SAP workloads on AWS. And finally, from a platform perspective, I already spoke about the depth and breadth of the platform, along with the global coverage and the security and reliability. So let me get into some specific points when it comes to our partnership with SAP. If you see on the chart, there are a lot of yellow lines that talk about items which are exclusively developed along with AWS. So SaaS solutions like Qualtrics, Concur, they run on AWS. The HANA Cloud, which is a containerized version of HANA, it runs on AWS. Again, Data Warehouse as a Service or SAP Analytics Cloud, the business objects becoming available in a service model. But the most important point here is the data custodian for AWS that we have co-developed along with SAP that helps customers with the security and the visibility of which users access SAP and where are they based. For example, right, you have users in the SAP workstream who are accessing a customer data who's based in the EU, right? And the users are also based in the EU. So from a GDPR standpoint, it would be compliant. But if it's a scenario where users are based outside the EU, then there should be a mechanism to, not have access to that user information. And we provide capabilities to mask and also to encrypt. So that's something that is over and above what you would find with a conventional, hyperscale provider dealing with SAP workloads on their platform. And we've been working together for a very long time. There are industry independent analysts who have kind of highlighted that AWS has the most experience, the most customers, the broadest portfolio of SAP certified offerings, including a complete portfolio for HANA offerings, and also the most experienced and proven partner ecosystem. So let me just dive into how exactly we are able to offer some of these to our customers. So the first and foremost is we have a reference architecture that is certified by SAP, and the architecture follows a quick start deployment guide almost immediately. And the architectures take different scenarios into consideration. I spoke about having different availability zones. So you can see that this is a scenario where you have two availability zones. And let's say that this is AWS Bahrain region, and you deploy a highly available SAP application and deploy these two HANA instances across different availability zones. It gives you a great amount of high availability and fault tolerance, and you can have a DR region as a second region, for example, Frankfurt or Ireland, where you can have another instance. So at an overall level, you would see that it's a fully functional and a highly available architecture that is in line with some of the best practices that AWS and SAP advocate. If you look at the footprint from an infrastructure standpoint, then it's quite diverse. Today, we support instances in a standalone way, in a scale-up option that can go as high as 24 terabytes. We started pretty much by offering 1/4 of a terabyte, half a terabyte, 1 terabyte kind of instances, scaled it right up to 4 terabytes. And then with our high memory bare metal instances, we can now scale up to 24 terabytes in a single EC2 instance. And I've just added a snapshot of some of the machine types that can give you an overview on the vCPUs, the memory, and the SAPs. You can go to the SAP AWS website for SAP instances and get these details. But essentially what I want to highlight is the scale is really, really high when it comes to a standalone scale-up deployment. And if you look at a scale-out option, we've been able to offer even more scale-out options. For example, with respect to OLTP in a scale-out fashion, we can scale up to 48 terabytes. Or for example, with respect to OLAP in a scale-out fashion for a data mart kind of a scenario, we can actually scale up to 100 terabyte. And we've been able to do this because we've been the way in which we have built our platform is very different compared to other hyperscale providers. So we've been experimenting with offloading the networking IO, and we use a lot of traditional offload cards from other hardware partners. And we thought that what if we try to offload pretty much all the functions that happen in a hypervisor, and we thought about storage IO, networking IO, the interaction with the control plane and the data plane, and offload all of this into the Nitro system. So what it allows us to do is create a bare metal environment with the same characteristic as a virtual machine, with the same software-defined network, the same virtual firewalls, and it allows us to offer higher compute instances, like for example, 25 terabytes in a single EC2 instance, and all of that raw performance without any virtualization overhead. So what you see on the left are the instances with the lightweight hypervisors, which can scale up to 4 terabyte. And what you see with the Nitro platform is the instances that can go right up to 24 terabytes without any overhead of the hypervisor. And there's obviously a lot of other things. The storage systems that we offer, they are flexible in nature. You can change the volume types, choose between SSDs and SSDs with specifically provisioned IOPS in case you want to dial up the IOPS during end of the month for a scenario where you need more performance. You can leverage a lot of automation and have a start-stop scheduled for instances in development phase and testing phase, so that you don't need to provision the infrastructure 24/7. You can also initiate an instance auto recovery upon a failure. There are different pricing models, Nagesh highlighted about it, and you can choose to run instances in an on-demand fashion, specifically when you are in test and development phase. And as you see more predictable usage, and as you see a baseline usage from an SAP instances perspective, you can move to a 1 year or a 3 year reservation or saving plan that can give you discounts on the usage based on the commitments that you've made. And there are also a lot of tools that we provide that can help you with the initial discovery and planning of IT infrastructure if you're looking at migration from an on-premise system to AWS. And there are also tools that can help you with the overall migration or disaster recovery to AWS. So all of this takes me to a specific concept that we very actively advocate, and that's about building a clean core along with AWS. So customers reach out to us and they say that we have transformation agenda. We want to grow our top line. We want to have better customer engagement models. We want different ways of improving customer engagement, making smarter decisions. And SAP as an application stack, right? It adds a lot of value to this transformation initiative, right? There could be a transformation initiative about improving bottom line. What can I do to reduce my cost for a particular product or say the next 3 years or 5 years? And these are the true motivators to consider an SAP solution. So our advice to customers is you think about the IT architecture in 3 different layers. Specifically, think about the application layer as a system of record, and AWS as the layer for building the systems of engagement with your customers or employees. You have the infrastructure layer at the bottom. Rely on AWS for the hyperscale infrastructure. Rely on SAP for packaged applications, which provide customer with pre-packaged integrated offerings, and it's very quick to deploy and consume. Consume it as it is. Don't customize it or modify it. Keep it clean in order to allow you to upgrade seamlessly, but build a layer so that you design the layer only to consume. And on top of it, you deploy the AWS layer, which is the services layer or the differentiation layer that can allow you to leverage the AWS space of innovation and build different business models. And I have a specific example that I'll dive into it, but essentially the crux is that the smart combination of technology between AWS and SAP can coexist. And based on that, you can really look up to addressing changing market demands or changing sentiments to build new digital offerings for your customers. So the path forward with SAP, and I think this is something that I hear all the CIOs talking about. We know that data is a strategic asset for every organization, not just for new businesses or existing businesses, but for all the organizations. And data has gone from being something that was cumbersome, expensive, to become something which is the lifeblood of many companies and many different business models. And if we have to look at an overall view, you have organizations which have data in silos, right? So we have the ERP, CRM systems, there are line of business applications, and there are typical data warehouses that churn, and you have a BI layer on top that helps you to visualize that and report it, right? So essentially, we are advocating a concept of building a data lake that extends or augments this existing setup. With a data lake, the customers can store all their structured, unstructured data. And we have seen a proliferation in this, right, with respect to the number of new devices that customers are using to interact with the company, or with respect to the different sensors that somebody would deploy in a manufacturing company to know more about how operations are being fulfilled, right? So all of this data, along with the enterprise data, we would advocate to look at AWS as a single source of data and get all this structured, unstructured data into a central repository, and then customers can run any type of analytics, right from historic reporting to machine learning based predictive analytics, without having the need to transform or move large amounts of data. And one of the examples that I want to cite here is an example where SAP and AWS coexist. So this is an example with a transportation company, and this transportation company has been delivering packages to end customers. Obviously, it is a B2B2C model, and typically what happens is a customer gets insight about the order data from SAP, but what additionally a customer can benefit from is to get insights of their end user. So for example, if this logistics company is fulfilling e-commerce customers, they have the details of the orders from their ERP, but they also need to understand their end customer behavior. So end customer behavior, for example, could be the choice of the delivery location, the choice of the time of the delivery location, the specific goods that require cash on delivery and the specific goods that don't require cash on delivery. Based on these insights, they can go back to their partners and say that these are the particular products where we see cash on delivery as a prominent option. Can we co-innovate and look at building a loyalty program? Can we co-innovate and look at building a prepaid card so that we avoid ferrying all the cash right from the end customer back to the partner? So that's one specific use case that can be built where AWS and SAP applications coexist, ingest all the data into AWS, transform it, and then visualize it using SAP tools or using AWS tools. And there have been a lot of customer examples where we have seen customers going beyond the conventional SAP deployments and building specific use cases from a business transformation perspective. And one of the most important part here is to make sure that you have the right partner from a SAP, from a cloud perspective as well. And we have several of GSIs, SIs, and MSPs in the region, but what really stand out is our engagement with Solcius and Yesh Technologies in a lot of active customer engagements, also with a lot of prospects. And along with our partners who are in the technology space, for example, SUSE Linux, which is a key component in SAP HANA deployment, right? Or Veritas, who facilitate taking backup for a particular customer. Along with our ISV partners and DSIs, it becomes a really compelling value proposition for our customers. So in a nutshell, from a next step standpoint, we would be very keen to schedule a discovery workshop with you. And as Nagesh highlighted, we have without cost overheads, and then take up specific like application modules. And there are end-to-end customer deployment scenarios where we have worked with Yes Technologies and Solcius here in the Middle East to help customers deploy on AWS. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I'll just leave you with one slide on what is our presence in the Middle East and North Africa. So I spoke about a region. In addition to the region, we have content distribution network edge locations. We have a facility from where customers can connect from their local data centers directly to an AWS region using a direct connect service, which has these direct connect locations in the Middle East, as you can see from the chart. We focus on the local language. We have natural language processing services, and our services with respect to text-to-speech conversion, speech-to-text conversion, and text-to-text conversion support Arabic as a key language. There are so that's pretty much what I wanted to speak to you about, and we're open to questions now. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you for taking time and giving us a complete whole new perspective to the topic and what AWS has got to offer in this regard. I'm sure our audience would be certainly be able to derive meaningful direction and guidance from this essence, from you as well as from Nargis.